All right, we should be live. We should be live. Let's
The
take a look.
first ever live stream.
Yep, we're live. I just checked it on YouTube. All right. Welcome back to 365 Unlimited. We're not back with another episode. We have made a switch to check out some different streaming platforms to try to gauge what we can do to kind of alter our show, improve our show, find ways to get better. So we're testing out StreamYard. We've used Zoom for 2 years now, probably a little more than 2 years. And some of you, for those people that do tap in, it looks like we got two viewers right now. Comment who's in here. Uh,
I think it's me and you, but
Probably, but regardless, uh, it's just something new, and you may be wondering if when you do have the chance to check this out, who's on here with me right now. You've probably seen his picture floating around 365 social medias and all this stuff. But he's the guy behind the camera, guy behind the Zoom calls, guy behind everything pretty much as of late. Jonah Diemer has done a ton of tremendous work for everything that Gannon and myself and Carter now hopping on as a co-host. We've made a lot of changes. And I don't necessarily, I guess, want to call them changes, more so just additions and finding ways to formulate the right team around us to be able to grow the way we want to grow, right? And me and Gana realize we can't do this by ourselves. So to assemble a team that is passionate about sports, passionate about business, passionate about being an entrepreneur and chasing your dreams and wanting to be successful in general, is something that we all have as a team. It's our common goal, right? So
Mhm.
if we can surround ourselves with winners, which I feel like our team is built upon that, we're built upon wanting to be the best versions of ourselves as much as we possibly can be. So let me introduce you, Jonah Diemer. Tell me a little bit about what made you want to come on board with 365 Unlimited, and because you've always been a big time supporter, and now I've kind
Yeah,
of had the chance to work with the team.
yeah. Honestly, thank you for having me. But to be honest, like where you're sitting, in a sense, is kind of what I wish I was doing 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, I've always wanted to become, a YouTuber in a sense. Maybe it wasn't interviews or podcasting, but maybe the video game streamer, because that's something of like a little hobby of mine. But with that, comes a lot of responsibility. And when you're in the social media platform today, these days, like, it is a very broad scope of what it is, what it can be.
Yeah.
um and being able to understand kind of how you want your journey to kind of go along. In 365, you like, I've been watching since you started when it was Art of Football 365. Made some kind of little graphics for you. But in a sense, that was my passion, was drawing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share kind of what my perspective on what you guys were doing. I thought it was a great idea at the beginning, and it still is now. Just to give the players a platform and a voice, outside of the news and the media, in a sense, where they can connect and grow, by hearing other people's stories. It might not be in the sports realm, but at the same time, I think it's a better way to make competition more fun for athletes, for students, in a sense, students of the game. Because I was very much that student versus being that athlete, in a sense.
Yeah.
I was really there to learn, to understand the schemes of how, football, you got your schemes, you got offense, defense, 11 on each side. How do you win each snap? In basketball, you got 5 on 5. How do you win that play? It's a very faster paced game. And
Mhm.
then in baseball, like, you got your pitcher, catcher, and then a batter. But how do you play into those schemes of, like, how do we win this possession? How do we win this next step? And yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. I've
Yeah.
been
No.
out here.
No. So I think the most fascinating thing is like when we brought Jonah on board, like he had a senior project that he's working on, which I'll let him dive into a little bit and have a discussion on that because I think it's cool because he's in the midst of the finals and getting closer to graduation. So I want him to touch on that, but Jonah was my quarterback back in high school. I played receiver. You might not be able to tell now. I've put on a little bit of weight since high school. Uh, it's that college life and all that type of stuff. But in general, uh, Jonah's always been a detail oriented person. Uh, Someone who goes with the flow, but someone who also understands like when it's business time, when it's entrepreneur time, when it's creative mode time. He's all in on it, and his brain is able to work and go down different facets, go down this line and connect this branch to that branch, and be able to formulate this tree full of ideas. And it's sparked my mind immensely to be able to learn more. Um, I remember back in high school when playing ball, like Jonah would sit down. He's being a quarterback. That's probably the most important position on our team. And the amount of film that this guy would sit and watch and dissect after games and games and games, and like it was
Yeah,
always fascinating. But
I do have a good story on those, but yeah, no, that's very true. The just being dedicated to your craft in a sense, but the senior project, like you said, for me, I mean, for anybody, your journey in college once you get out of high school is it's vastly different from anybody else's. Um, Being able to communicate with your family on what you're doing, and being able to, take those opportunities that may appear in college that are different from ones in high school. They're a lot more strenuous. They may be more difficult to um, be comfortable in taking those challenges or jumps or leaps.
yeah,
Um, but for me, kind of going back on to what you were saying about film and the leader and being detail oriented, like for me, being the youngest of five or having four older brothers older than me, I would say that's where I learned it the most. Like
yeah,
being able to see, your oldest brother go through high school, go through college, and then the next one do the same thing, and the next, and the next, and the next. It makes you want to, in a sense, do more, but at the same time, sit back and understand how they did it, why they did it, and it leaves me, in a sense, in a position of where I can gain the most, but at the same time, there's a lot to differentiate and a lot to understand at the same time. And with honestly, with this platform, it's helped me to be able to connect with people that I haven't probably seen in a while. Because I've been out here in Iowa for
yeah,
quite a quite a bit of years, it seems like now, and it just made it difficult with all the things that have happened within my family. And but with that, like the story on the film. So
let's
this
hear it. Let's hear it.
this would have been my sophomore year. Uh, And this was right after we played Milledgeville. I think it was week 2, and this is my second game. Like, put it in perspective, this is my second game ever playing quarterback,
Yeah,
and I was still learning. I still didn't think I had the things, the tools, in a sense, to be able to play quarterback, because we were a pass heavy offense compared to some teams in our area that were just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Like, in a sense, just for example, uh, the Lena team that made it to state this year, they didn't pass the ball one time the whole state game, which that's a culture thing. It's a team oriented thing, but at the same time, it's like being able to, in a sense, your quarterback turns into that star running back. And me sitting there as a sophomore and being like, wow, I don't know if I can play quarterback for the rest of my career. I don't know if I can do this. And then I had a vacation that weekend, went up to kind of northern Minnesota with my family, my brothers, and we just would sit. We sat there, watched the 2000, I think it was 11, which my brother Lucas was on, and we just sat there and watched the whole game, like from start to finish. That was when they played Dakota in the semifinals,
oh yeah, fun
and
game.
we just sat there and we just talked football for like hours on end. We were out in the lake, in a cabin, middle of nowhere, didn't really have internet. Just got on a kayak every once in a while, go around on the kayak. But like that, in a sense, that moment in time, when that happened, it made me realize that there's a lot of other things outside of football and sports, but at the same time, like if you really put in that hard work and dedication, because you can do that as well.
Yeah,
And exclude all these other distractions and you just focus on what your craft needs to be, because you can see it. Like, because Nolan Brannick was a quarterback at the time, and I wasn't 6'5", 200 pounds like he was. I'm 5'10" on a good day, 5'9" on a good day, 100 maybe 40 pounds. So like being able to learn from what he did, and then the next quarterback down from him was Aiden Chang, who was also a phenomenal quarterback, who was also 6'3", 200 pounds, 180 pounds maybe. And to be able to sit there and learn how he actually played the game, the mechanics behind how he's able to throw the ball, how he's able to read the defenses, the coverages. And that's one thing I have to give a lot of credit to my brothers for. Because that was something I wasn't taught was, okay, you got a too high safety look. Are they playing man? Are they playing zone?
Mhm.
And if they're playing man, for us, this is where we excelled the most, was when they're playing man. Just because I knew personally, I'm like, I know my receivers can beat their
Yeah,
defender
they
one on
ain't
one.
guard they weren't guarding me and Zach.
Well,
They
they were, but like
weren't covering us.
you guys were a
Man
little
to
bit
man.
bigger. You
Man to
guys were a
man
little
there.
bit bigger. You guys had you had, I would say, better IQ on where the ball was going to be versus the defender did. And then when zone comes around, you got to be able to, pick and choose what you think you're going to get available. Like, yeah, you could run the ball for 4 yards and get 4 yards and then second down, or you could, pick and choose and you can run a 4 yard out, get a
Yeah.
catch. It's a one-on-one game then, and then you could break that tackle, make it go for 5, 10, 15, or to the touchdown. So
Well, that's
like,
that thing with chemistry, and like that was
mhm,
over time, just being able to build that up, and athletes today, like it's just something like prevalent that I've seen within area sports today is like I don't think athletes in our area specifically, like the Freeport area, have allowed chemistry to kind of develop, and I think that's something that we have to realize as athletes that one, it takes time,
yes,
and
it took us, I would say, at least 15 years.
yeah, and in today's world, the amount of kids that like like with schools with enrollments being down and co-ops happening and going from 11-man to 8-man football, like sports are different now, so it's like you're
Hmm.
playing with a different group every year. You're moving sports, you're playing with different schools, like all of that, it takes time to build that chemistry up.
Yeah, and
So to
with that,
allow it to happen.
yeah, with that though, like even you see it in college football now, like the transfer portal is the biggest thing out there.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
in high school, I remember back in the day, like it's unheard of for kids to transfer from one school and then transfer the next school they go to and still be a relevant kind of player in a sense, because it kind of was looked down upon back in the day, because you grow with those kids. Like we grew up together, and I would say from our seventh, eighth grade, freshman, like through those years is where you actually learn that chemistry.
mhm.
And if you're not around that whole time, it's hard to actually build that sort of chemistry. And it's more of hearsay and this and that. And you have to watch the clips or the highlights and the views. And that's where, you be able to validate if a player is good or not in the
Yeah.
college level, in a sense.
Oh, 100%. We're just spitballing here, talking sports, talking football, talking past experiences, but transition a little bit. What is your why behind what you do with 365? Talk to me about it as far as your senior project goes. Talk to me about your why behind helping out cuz like well, I'll be transparent about it. Like
Hmm.
the team members we have right now like 365 like they're working for free. Like I'll put it out there for the world to hear it like Keegan Jeelan, Philip Mueller, Jonah Diemer, those three guys that do the behind the scenes work when we're the ones on camera editing the videos, chopping up, getting stuff out on social media. They're the ones behind the scenes doing this out of the goodness of their heart, doing it out of the fact that they believe in the mission and they want it to expand and continue to grow. And it's crucial for us. So without
Hmm.
those, like I always tell them in our group chat, like it's as much yours as it is mine. It's as much yours as it is Gannon's.
Hmm.
And so, what is your why behind being able to wake up every day? And if I shoot you a text, you're on it. Like, it's like, I got you with this. What's the why?
I would say it's the way we grew up a little bit, but also the way my parents go about their life.
Yeah.
My mom did a lot of work. She ran the spirit shop back. It was like the clothing store at Aquin,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why I got into clothing a little bit and design and stuff like that. but also she put so much time and effort into things that kind of go unnoticed. Um, but at the same time, you have to understand when you are doing those things, it is for the greater good. It's not you're not doing this to expect, the massive paycheck and then go blow that massive paycheck on a day out on a night out in a sense.
Yeah.
You're doing it because you believe in the cause. You believe in why uh 365 is a good idea, good platform, and there's a backing behind like the meaning behind it. It I mean, I could go way farther into it, but I won't.
Detail
Um,
oriented. I told you.
yeah.
You heard it here. Detail
Um,
oriented.
but I would say like it's very much a community in a sense.
Yep.
Um, you know, like I used to grow up every Sunday. I used to go to church, and like you don't have to give to the church every Sunday, but in a sense, it is an obligation. It is that why in a sense as to why you do it.
Mm.
There's a reason, there's a cause, and that's kind of why like I put so much time and effort into the stuff that we've done with the store, with just trying to be a part of it and trying to help any way I can. If it's making fan art, if it's making this or that, because one, it's fun for me to do, and two, I know it's going to a good cause. I know people, they'll be able to see it and they'll be able to give me some sort of feedback or give you guys feedback as to why 365 Limited is here in a sense.
Oh yeah, facts. We are here, and that's the
Hmm.
thing. It just continue to grow, continue to build, and that's one thing I admire, like about you, Keegan, Phillip, being able to do it. But it also, on top of helping our brand, it helps your own self in a sense too.
Hmm.
You're able to demonstrate skills. You're able to, when you go interview at a job, you could say, well, hey, I did this here for this brand, and we were able to do great things, and you could demonstrate and show that work what you did. But then on top of it, it just grows your skill set. So like for
Yep.
example, the past 2-3 months of the buildup of our website, which check out the website on 365limited.myshopify.com. I
Yep.
get that tongue twisted a little bit, but
I still think is there 10% discount going on for the holiday season, I think.
there is one coming up, so that's a good thing to
Yeah.
bring that up. No, we had one for Jonah's birthday. Happy belated. If you
Thank you.
didn't,
Thank you.
uh, there is one coming up. I believe we have it running. It starts, I believe, when Christmas Eve through Christmas. I'm pretty sure we have a Christmas sale. Um,
23rd, 22nd, somewhere around there.
in that range, yeah. We'll have to double check it, and that'll be public knowledge on socials and everything. But in general, yeah, everything we've done with the website, like the build up for that, like just to kind of include some transparency on it, like we were doing weekly team meetings, and granted, yes, we're a brand. Like you think about it, like yeah, you're gonna have your meetings, you're gonna have all that type of stuff, but that was something new for us. Like Gannon and
Yeah.
myself, like we would have conversations and we could text, but like Gannon and I, when we hop on a podcast, like it's raw. Like it's who we are as people. When we're talking NFL stuff, like yes, we can have our side notes, like this player had this many yards, but regardless,
Mhm.
outside of that, it's typically just Gannon and myself hopping on, turning the camera on, and talking our mind. So the past couple of years, Gannon and myself being in college, we haven't had the opportunity for tons of meeting time. And now that like our
Yeah.
schedules have changed and kind of aligned a bit more post graduation, we've had the ability to connect more as a team. I'd say Jonah and myself have probably met the most, uh, but in the aspect of being able to connect as a team. So just to throw advice out there for anyone who is trying to build a brand up, trying to do something, they just don't know how to do it. Just do
Mhm.
it and let it flow into the situation we got ourselves into. Where Gannon and myself, think about this. We started on a little app called Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasters, recorded audio only. Got to a point a couple months later, a year later, where we decided to go YouTube. Then we were doing YouTube and Spotify. And from that point on, we continue to grow, 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 expand our social presence, network with more and more people, gain more and more opportunities, travel to places to see things, go to NFL games, attend events. Like all of that type of stuff came from us simply just hopping on an initial recording on Anchor. Then we developed a website, and now we're meeting as a team weekly. So like
Mhm.
that's continuous growth that you have to understand comes along with starting your brand,
Mhm.
starting your individual purpose. Once you start it, it gives you the chance and the opportunity to continue to embrace that and grow and grow and grow. And
Mhm.
that's I feel like where we're at right now. So it's like talk to me about the steps that we've walked through at the website. What's been the bumps in the road, the enjoyable parts, and where
Yeah.
can we grow?
I'm to be honest though, like what you were saying is spot on. But also I wanted to say like, in a sense, you guys are a perfect example. Like it's just two friends that
Yeah.
had a passion and an idea, and they just kept persisting on and kept going and kept going and kept going. And that directly correlates with sports. Like in a game, you might be down in the first quarter, you got to keep persisting, keep going, keep going, keep going. Um, but like with that, anybody could do this in a sense,
Yeah.
like
No,
instead of
100%.
instead of going out each weekend or each day or each night or whatever it is, if you start to put time and effort and you just start to, as friend groups start to put this time and effort into something that you think could become something
Mm,
where now and especially these days, like it could turn into a brand, it could turn into a business, it could turn into, I mean, it initially could start off as a podcast, a fun hobby, but it could turn into something bigger than you ever expected. Um, and but with that, like the website, some things that I've struggled with a little bit is just the overall layout. And this is kind of what goes back to what I go to school for is the UI UX, and which is for people that don't know is user interface, user experience. So being able to understand on an app or if, whatever it may be, how to actually use that app to its full potential,
mm,
and understanding what buttons mean, what icons mean, and being able to plug and play in a sense, and understand that if you do this on this side of the screen and then it pops it up on the website and it gives the graphics, it gives the descriptions, it gives the the pricing, all those type of things, and being able to work through that process, I would say, has been the most difficult.
yeah.
um but at the same time, it hasn't been anything out of the ordinary in a sense. um
No,
it
I would
kind
say
of
we definitely have stepped out of our comfort zone to be able to attain what we're trying to attain. Like, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, like, when we dropped the website, like I and Gannon and Jonah both know better than anybody probably at this point how ahead of myself I get, how antsy I get, how anxious I get when it comes to stuff with our show, with our brand.
hmm
Like if I get excited for 1 second, I want to release it to the public. I want to tell the public. I want it to get out there. I want it to happen. I want people to buy stuff. I want them to see it. Like I want it to be
hmm
public.
You have, and that's the one thing that I think I've helped a little bit. Gannon's been on. He's been right there with me in a sense.
Gannon stood no chance at the beginning. Gannon for 2 years. Gannon stood no chance in teaching me to calm down because I just tell Gannon. Actually to be honest with you, I wouldn't even tell Gannon. Like if there's a situation where if we were gonna drop some stuff, I'd post it. Gannon would hit me with a text, be like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And I'd have to
Yeah,
like recollect my thoughts and be like, you know what,
maybe I should have.
probably should have ran that by you. But
Yeah.
overall, what I will say is like for everyone that has bought our merchandise and reps the shirts, and I think the most exciting piece of evidence for me of like just seeing the brand out there in public is that not only do people wear it, but it's got a sense of pride behind it now, and it's like people wear it
Mhm.
with excitement and passion, and it gets posted on their stories, and I see it in random pictures, and it not only like exhilarates and excites me, but it
It's got
just
that
helps me.
story.
Yeah,
It's
no,
got that story with it,
yeah. But
and
overall, it's like we dropped the website at 7 p.m. some random weeknight, like
yeah.
some random weeknight after the buildup of everything. Like to put this to throw it back a little bit, the story behind it is Jonah and I are on a call, and I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, because we were curious about the money and everything on how it would work, and we had worked through the kinks for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we hop on this call, and I'm like, you know what, screw it, dude, let's drop it. Let's put it out there. And I said, I want to put it out right now. I want to put it out right now. and he made a couple changes. We had a couple other pieces on the website and a couple other pages that still look down the future could be a possibility. But
Mhm.
I wanted to get it out, so we drop it 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Within an hour, within 2 hours. I mean, we're approaching 20 orders, 15 orders, and
We're
just
like, "What do we do? What do we do?"
no, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, did we make the right call?
I
Like
I would say yes.
100%, because ever since then, it's like I would say, I mean, I've seen 20 plus people,
Mhm.
30 plus people wearing the shirts, wearing the hoodies, and people have wanted hoodies for a long time. Like Gannon and myself had the like the one of one art of football hoodies that we just
Mhm.
made for ourselves, got made, and they were fire. Don't get me wrong, but like as soon as we posted those, like people were like, "Where are they at?" Like I want to get one. So it's like finally to have that ability to be able to have posted those hoodies for the public that they can now. It could be 10 a.m. on a Monday. It could be 7 p.m. on a Sunday. It doesn't matter. They have the access and ability to go purchase it, and
Mhm.
that makes me happy because it's like we could be sitting there kicking it. All of a sudden, I'm watching Sunday Night Football, Cowboys Eagles, and
Cowboys
Cow-
Seahawks.
Cowboys gonna win this game this weekend. But anyway, I could be sitting there watching a game randomly. I get an alert on my phone, new order, blah blah blah, and just to see the names, the people I don't expect to purchase a shirt, like that. That's what it's all about, and it's like people are representing the brand the right way. We're still
Yeah.
working on brand ambassador programs, athlete ambassador programs, all of this type of stuff that like we're going to continue to build probably post holiday season. Right now, it's hectic with everybody's schedules and coming
Mhm.
home, but all that. But like there are a lot of things in the works that we haven't even tapped into yet. And like just speak on that, Jonah, like access and ability that we have to take this even further.
Yeah, I would say the access is the biggest.
Yep.
Being able to um, just look it up anytime or just go to our socials and be able to find it. If we did the one with the Veterans Day,
Yep.
and I think we're hoping to do more kind of like that, where it's a holiday, or if it's, you know, later in the years, when we get towards, football season next year, maybe we'll have more thought out ideas of what things could look like for playoff stuff, and where we could support each local community in a sense. I would say that's the biggest is um, being able to make color coordinated designs, make things that where kids or parents or whoever it is can support their school. They can support their community with the colors, and be a be like they're a part of a bigger community in a sense that it hasn't been, I would say, hasn't been supported in a while.
No,
They're
you're
really
dead on. You're
growing
dead
up
on.
for us. Like there was no, I mean, you have the news channels and you have like the Rockford area, but in our area where we grew up, there was nothing that was really like this in a sense where it was the Northwest area that could come together as a community and be able to reach other parts of the, I would say, the Illinois. Um, I mean, I would say, what's the NUIC football fanatics kind of was, that was our generation. They started to get into that, but they were
Mhm.
more just strictly football and stats and all that nitty gritty, which is good. It's what they excel in.
Yeah, it's their
Um,
niche. Their niche is to cover the NUIC, and they've done a great job with it. Shout out to Kyle for all of his hard work with NUIC
mhm,
football fanatics and everything, and NUICfootball.com, and that was their niche, and that's my biggest thing with what we do now. It's like it's a new form of media, it's a new form of coverage, it's a new form of access. But you included that word access, and I want to touch on that. When
okay.
you talk about access, you talk about the ability to include athletes, to have them hop on here, tell their story. And we've had so many high school athletes, college athletes, a couple NFL players, past NFL players, coaches. That's access there because not only do them players, them individuals in general have the opportunity to hop on and tell their story, but what that does is reshape a whole generation that comes next.
Hmm.
They have the access, the youth, they have the access that we didn't have growing up in our area. They have the coverage and the access of storytelling to be
That,
able to hear athlete stories, coaches' stories, to be able to be like, okay, this episode at the 30-second mark or the minute 30 mark or the 5-minute 45-second mark, I learned this bit of information that I can take into my career for the next 4 years of high school, and
Yeah,
it can transcend them, upgrade them, not only as better
I would
athletes, better
I would
humans.
I would also say that's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
Just for how much social media in our time has grown,
yeah.
and how much it could be, seen as a bad thing and seen as a good thing. Um, but I mean, for me, like, this is kind of a personal thing. Like, I've never really been the type of guy to pick up a book and read a book or a magazine article or whatever it may be. Granted, in high school, I know I was always looking forward to the next journal standard to come out.
Not me.
In the library, I was always looking forward to the next week. What is it was Dan Stevens at the time. I
The
was always looking
Village
forward to
Voices, yeah,
Yeah, I
Village
was always
Voices.
looking forward to what he was going to put out. But and that's great. That's awesome. Like, I loved it. Like, but at the same time, this gives another perspective. This gives another opportunity for those athletes to connect on a different
Yeah.
level. Instead of reading a newspaper article and seeing it, this gives them the opportunity to um, either grow as individuals themselves or connect with those individuals. You got a whole different platform, a whole different type of opportunity where I could you could talk to somebody that you've never met, but you could meet up at a gym, play one-on-one, or go to the YMCA like we always used to do, and get on that competitive level where the next time you see them in a game where it's just that much more fun. It and the audience or the stands, in a sense, could be that much more filled. It could bring a different environment for each community, and that's where I think it could excel the most in.
Well,
Um,
here's the thing I'll tell you about that. It's like we've recorded for 3 years now, right? Three
mhm,
years, 3+ years now. Uh, and not once in any interview we've done has someone's words been mixed up, has someone said something that they didn't want posted, blah, blah, blah. All of that is valuable because when you sit back and you read a newspaper or you check out an interview that a high school player did with a news anchor or in a newspaper in general, there is a chance for those words to get spun, right? There is a chance for those words to kind of be altered in a sense a little bit. Not to say that it's happened a ton, but what we provide, having guests be able to come on, not just athletes, but business owners and everything, there
mhm,
is no ability for that to get spun. You get to come on here and be you,
mhm,
and you provide access to your story, and it's through your lens, it's through your own individual perspective, it's through your words only. There's no one on here that gets to change what you say, that gets to alter it in any sense. When you come on here and you provide your story, that you reach who you want to reach, you reach the audience you want to impact and affect. And there's no reading a newspaper where if Jonah threw for 3 touchdowns and he went on and did an interview with the newspaper, and they twisted his words into saying that it was all about him and he threw a perfect football all game, when in reality he said something along the lines of, my throws were feeling good, my arm was feeling good, blah blah blah. I was feeling like I was going to have a good game, and it got spun to that. That's something that can't happen on this show. That's what we can provide, not only as a brand but as a podcast,
yeah,
being
I
able to
actually have a funny
facilitate
story
stories.
about that. I actually have a funny. It sort of been junior. I think it was junior year. We played Oakwood, and then the next week we played Leroy.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is another thing that, like, I experienced personally, like, firsthand. Um, After a game, we just beat Oakwood by quite a bit in the first round of the playoffs,
Mm,
and this was a game where like I was going back earlier when I said, if a team's playing man, I believe in my receivers to get the job done. I just got to throw it up to them; they'll go get it.
yep.
But ideally, what I meant to actually say is the linemen are the ones that actually give me the time to actually get the ball off. Because if there's no line, I'm going to get sacked no matter what. I
Yeah.
can't get the ball off, and that's me. I was kind of overthinking at the time because I'm like,
That's another. Yep. That's a
I
key piece right there.
and because I was kind of caught up in the moment, and I didn't really expect to get asked questions after the game. Never really happened all season long, and to get asked those questions and then just kind of say that thing, and then I think it was the next following Monday, coaches come in and they start giving me crap, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that
Yeah,
because in
yeah,
a sense, but that was a moment for me to grow. That was a moment for me to understand and learn, and that's what I did because I think I ended up taking all the linemen out to go get food, and I said, you guys can get whatever you want. It's on me. I messed up. This is me to learn and grow, and hopefully we can do that as a team instead of people get upset because of what I said or what I did. And honestly, that was the most surreal moment in my life when I was playing quarterback because I actually got to learn from a mistake that
yeah.
I physically could see and remember. And I think we ended up going. I think I let them choose, and I think they ended up picking Taco Bell. And I think
Probably
other people.
that don't surprise me.
Yeah, I think other people ended up joining along. I'm like, yeah, dude, I got you guys.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
but it's
yeah,
it's it's one of those things where it's like we talk about like newspapers can change your words, or obviously in our area, lack of coverage is pretty prevalent. We've touched on
mhm,
lack of prevalency within the area as far as sports. Talk about being able to twist your words within a newspaper, but you proved a good point right there. That's another key piece of evidence that in the heat of the moment, post game interviews, like yes, it comes with experience to be able to get better at those. But at the same time, when we have an interview on a podcast like this, you have the ability to correct it, right?
mhm.
Like we do an hour plus interview, a 45 plus minute interview where if you say something, you still have time to give that next person credit. Like so if you
Yeah.
give someone credit here and you forget about somebody, always time to add it in there.
That's the
Excuse me.
thing, like, in a sense, your words after you get done with kind of stay on the newspaper topic, but, like, once you say those words, they're taken, they're gone, they're put on, uh, the newspaper and then put out in the
And
publishment
it's
whenever it
going to
comes
change
out,
it. And then
and
people formulate opinions based on what
yeah,
you said. There's
but
no
you don't get a chance to then maybe say you have a bad game next week, they might not come to you and ask you the same questions,
yeah.
and in a sense, like, this type of platform could give you that option to either make a comment down below, and then we could either or just DM us directly, and we could make apologies or whatever it may be, um, via the next episode or the next this, because like that's the one thing I'm like, I don't want to go talk to Dan Stevens and tell them like, hey, can you change that? Because I didn't know it was me. I didn't know what it was going to be, but
Yeah.
props that they did their job in a sense.
It
But
is their job. It's their way
yeah,
of coverage, and
I
that's
just
the
wish I
thing.
could have told that story of what I
Yeah.
had to end up doing the
Yeah.
next week, but
Yeah, no, and
it
that's
is
the
what
thing.
it is.
That's the thing with newspapers, dude. That's the thing with
Mhm.
media. I should say an older generation of media, honestly, like the news you see that not a lot of people should be tapping into because it ain't realistic. It ain't
It
raw. It
is,
ain't
it is, but
no, 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 you get what I'm saying. I'm talking about more sports based stuff. Like when it comes to like me personally, I'm probably not gonna sit and watch. Like I'm not watching Skip Bayless talk. Like I'm not gonna sit there and listen to
facts.
that type of stuff because one, it's for clicks.
Yep,
Two, it's for people to get pissed off and react to it. It's for people to go on Twitter and complain about it all day. And I don't even feed into that stuff. And a lot of people do, and that's fine with me. I don't care if you go that route. But in general, it's like what we are able to do, like honestly, it's more valuable for content creators in today's world with the access we have, like being able to use something like StreamYard today, or being able to use something like CapCut to make videos. Like the world we live in today is so driven towards becoming a content creator, so driven towards
it's true.
using your voice and being able to express the way you feel, what you like, your passions, your dreams, and be able to build up your individual sense of your own brand. And so to kind of relate that and what I'm trying to say when I'm talking about mainstream media, I guess is the key word to use in that. Like I like this form of media because it's more natural, it's more organic. We're not sitting here doing recordings to gain attractive amount of viewers. We're sitting here trying to allow people to grow, right? So if we have one person in here and it changes their night, changes their day, and they get to learn a piece of key information, then we were impactful, right?
Yeah,
We impacted them in a positive manner, and that is what we're chasing. We're chasing that that ability to leave true impact.
that
Um,
is, yeah,
but ultimately, So we've been sitting on here about 40 minutes. First stream ever.
Feels like it's been 10 minutes. I'm not gonna
That's how it
lie.
goes, dude. That's how it goes, dude.
It's
Now that you from behind the camera onto the camera, I'm telling you, man, you sit here, you start chopping it up. Back in the day when Gannon and myself were just doing Zoom interviews, uh, without the Zoom Pro feature, which we've had for a couple months now, there'd come a time where it's like we had a couple interviews where we'd be on there and the interview feels like it's gone like 5 minutes, but without Zoom Pro, you get like a 45-minute cutoff. All of a
uh-huh,
sudden, we'd get this flashing timer above us. It's like, hey, you got like 5 minutes left. And I'm sitting there.
yeah.
It's like you're having so much fun having
That,
conversation.
that's what I'm saying though. Like if instead of going out and whatever it may be, if just sitting down talking shop and talking business and trying to talk about the next step in a sense, where like where could you take this, and um yeah, it's been honestly it's been pretty fun.
Let me ask you, how do you become creative? So in today's world, I think it's easily accessible to become creative and utilize your natural mind. But there are a lot. I don't mean to throw the word out there, but there are a lot of lazy people in this generation today. There's a lot of people that
Yeah,
not
I,
just
no, I get it.
lack hard work, but aren't willing to be go getters and go chase what they want in this life. They may have a vision for what they want, but nobody has a plan.
I,
So how do
yeah.
we become creative? How does one human being, how do people like you and myself, or who are in here at what time is it? Almost 12 p.m. Central Time, uh, chasing a brand, chasing a dream, and trying to build things up.
I would
When how do you become creative?
I would have to say it's taking, you know it's experimenting, it's trying different things, new things, but at the same time having a little bit of a structure and understanding of what uh might happen. Like, for example, when you're drawing and you're doing stuff, for me, I used to draw on just pen and paper, pencil and paper, and I would draw, I would make this great thing, but I have a natural tendency. I have really sweaty hands. I've just grown up with that, and so when I draw on pencil or pen, I'll make something, and then it's almost finished, it's almost perfect, and then my sweaty hands will smear something, and I'll be like, and then I'll be like, well, that was just a waste of 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or an hour, however long it took to draw.
Yeah,
And but at the same time, me sitting there and trying to replicate what I could maybe somewhat picture in my head of what I'm drawing it's very like, I wouldn't say like soothing, but like very kind
it's
of can't really.
peaceful.
Yeah, it's peaceful. Like you kind of forget about all those problems you might be having, and you just get to focus on one thing. And that one thing you're making it. Like you get
Yeah,
to draw it. You get to, if this hand's not perfect, you're drawing, or this shirt's not perfect, you're drawing. You can add lines, you can add color, you can add shadows, you can add all these things. I mean, granted, they might not make sense to some people, those words, but you can add things to make it look perfect in your eyes. And perfect in your eyes may not be perfect in someone else's eyes,
yeah,
but that perfectness in your eyes helps you to get to the next step. So you did one drawing, now you get to go on to the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. But with that, I've started to now go towards digital drawing,
mm,
which I do through my iPad and an Apple Pen and all this fancy technology, which makes it that much easier instead of having to erase with a pencil or erase with the eraser, and it might leave a smudge or a smear and it's not perfect. This allows me to make, perfect lines,
yeah,
erase them if I need to, zoom in instead of having to like put my head down and try to find that little edge and make it perfect. I can just zoom in, erase those lines, and make it perfect. And that's just me in a sense of that wanting to be perfect every time. Like that's kind of comes with the detail oriented stuff that I do. It's just wanting to be perfect all the time, but even though at the same time nothing's ever perfect.
yeah,
But if it's perfect in your eyes, granted, it might not be perfect in some, but you have to be able to then understand what you might need to fix, what you might need to change, and that's what's helped me the most, I would say, in school. 'Cause I just had my final presentation for school, for my final project and all that stuff. And the one thing that I've struggled the most was public speaking, but also that storytelling aspect and being able to start at the beginning of the story, being able to grab the audience's attention, being able to work them through what a problem that arose, and then finding a solution, and then showing them the full solution of what that problem was,
Mhm.
and then ending it off on a fun note in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of the same with drawing as well, creativeness, being able to start with a drawing, blank piece of paper, start those first beginning lines, find a problem that you might run into with those lines, and then change those and make it into a beautiful looking drawing, beautiful looking picture in a sense. So it's they kind of go hand in hand, but that's I would say that's how you be creative.
Yeah, I think
Experience.
being creative is instead of chasing perfection, it's about chasing progress.
Yeah.
I think when you chase progress and you chase growth and you can see that evolution of your own individual growth, then I think that inspires you. It empowers you to realize what you're doing is not only benefiting others, but it's benefiting yourself because you found your purpose. So
Mhm.
when you have the ability to be creative, and it doesn't have to come in a podcast form, a business format, it could be something as simple as being creative and being able to utilize your computer in a different manner when it comes to sending out emails. How can I do it more efficiently? That's what being creative is. It's finding ways to strategically improve, to
Mhm.
strategically find ways to make your life easier, and utilize the power of your own brain. And that's something that 3 years ago, before we started this pod, like I am miles and miles ahead of myself progress wise than I was 3 years ago. And
Mhm.
if you can take each year as a building block and continue to layer bricks, brick, and be able to understand that the more bricks you add, if you can look down at the bottom and understand while you're building those bricks and you're enjoying that journey and utilizing your creative mind, then anyone can become successful. There's no lock, there's no limit on the amount of people that can become successful in this world. We all have the potential to get to wherever we want to get to
Mhm.
if we can unlock that creative mind, that ability to go and work outside the box and not always listen to the outside noise on what people think we should be doing. If we're doing it right, we're doing it wrong. At the end of the day, what you're doing is up to you and you only. um
Mhm.
but I think honestly, yeah, I
I
think this was a good first
Yeah,
stream. I
and I
mean,
would
if
I would say
closing thoughts.
yeah, I would say kind of I would say a new model that we kind of started to uh, dive into is kind of that stay you.
Yeah.
Stay you, like don't change in a sense, but learn from what you may experience, but kind of intertwine that into you. Try to make that part of your daily habits, daily routines, whatever it may be. But in a sense, I would say just stay you.
Stay you, stay unlimited. That's what it comes down to is staying you, but understanding the unlimited potential that you have. So when it comes to 365 you, staying you, all of it is relevant to captivating your dreams, captivating your individual sense of purpose, and chasing what you want in this life, chasing what you need in this life. Um, yeah, I think overall successful first stream. Just honestly, tonight I wanted to just hop in here, test the waters, see what
Yeah.
StreamYard is like, and I'm happy with the way it's gone. I'll have to check out the stream and see what I think. But yeah, honestly, this is probably the format we'll look at quite a bit, and I think a lot more can come with this as far as NFL post game reactions. If there's a game that goes crazy and we want to hop in here, it's easy access and to be
Hmm.
able to put our content out there immediately. If the Cowboys beat the Eagles this Sunday, I might be hopping in here Sunday night.
I'm sorry, but I'm rooting for the Eagles.
Man,
I
man.
they do need the big win, especially right now, because if the Cowboys do beat them, I don't know what the head to head is on that, but
It'd be
I
split 1-1 if
yeah,
Dallas
but I think the
wins.
Cowboys have a easier game the next week than the Eagles do.
We got so the Eagles' schedule will be easier the rest of the route compared to us. We still have Detroit,
Okay, that'd be a tough one.
Buffalo.
That's another tough one.
Miami.
And another tough one. So
So
yeah, okay, you guys have that.
Philly's got New York, the Giants, twice to end out their season, other than the two
Oh.
other games they have. So, like, realistically, we need this game if we want to have a remote shot. If we lose this, if we lose this game, the division title's gone. Regardless, we won't win the division title. But I think we need this game for momentum purposes in general to head into some tough weeks.
I would have to agree with that.
But yeah, we're not going to dive into football tonight. So everyone,
Dang, I could go on and on.
we'll
I
save
just
that
want to
for.
say one thing though. Cyclone Nation is on the rise. Brock Purdy, Tyrese Halliburton, they're about to take over the NBA and NFL. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx myself. I'm about to knock on some wood, but
should take off my headset and throw it with that.
I do think Dak's a good second place MVP if that's actually it. But
Yeah,
right now, the
we'll
way
see.
Brock Purdy's been playing, I don't know.
We'll see. All right. Well, everyone who tapped in here, I know it wasn't a lot tonight, just coming on at a late time.
Do we appreciate it though?
But yeah, if you did tap in, appreciate you. And obviously it'll be on our channel for you to check out in the morning, the next couple days. We appreciate you. We're thankful for everyone who listens, who taps in, who buys the merch, checks out everything we got going. We're going to continue to expand, continue to grow, and we will catch you soon.